and welcome to Grandma's Corner in a Wealthy Place, where Grandma Wells will share a wealth of wisdom, knowledge, information, as well as inspiration. And welcome, Grandma Wells. It's summer, to this beautiful summer day. Yay, we made it. We made it. So, how are you doing today, Grandma Wells?
Oh, I'm doing just great. I feel real good for a summer day.
Beautiful hot summer day, but that's all right. I'm not complaining after all the rain we've had. We thank God for some sunshine. We've had liquid sunshine all week, but we had some hot sunny sunshine this week or today. So Grandma Wells, when we left off last week, we were talking about little Neatsy and the big city, and you were sharing from the time that you graduated how you came to DC, and then you talked about your first job in DC and the war and the various things. Well, we talked about your education and then into your vocation, and you also mentioned about learning how to type. So that leads us over to that little apparatus over there. What is that, Grandma Wells?
Yeah, this is my first typewriter. I was able to buy it after I worked for a year and was able to get a charge account. And was going to typing school, and I had to practice at the Y, and then I bought my own typewriter, and it was a blessing because I'd never used a typewriter before. We didn't have typing in my high school in Warsaw until after I left. So
Wow.
that helped me get my foot in the door. It took me a little while to get my speed up, but it helped.
So let me ask you this. So you said you had a charge account. So how much, do you remember how much a typewriter was when you bought it?
Oh, I bought it when I was 18 years old. That's when I could open up an account. I believe I paid $54.
Wow. So that would have been around, what, 1945 or 47?
Around 1947.
Around 1947. So that typewriter is older than I am. Oh my God, I think that's an antique, Grandma Wells.
Yes, it is.
So you give us a little bit more of a demonstration. You see that it still works?
I used to have to practice with doing ASDFST.
You go, Grandma. Go, Grandma. Go, Grandma. And you know what? What's funny is I actually remember using that typewriter as well.
Sure.
So where did we plug this in, Grandma Wells?
Oh, there's no plugging in. But I made sure that my girls learned to type at an early age, and then I think that helped you off when you got to the computer stage.
I totally agree with you, Grandma Wells. And I do. I remember even going to Garrison Junior High during that time frame and using the computer. And also for my first job with Mr. Compton. Mr. Roy Compton was my first employer, other than you and Daddy. you were really my first employers, but he got on. I did some typing for him, and that was my first other paid job with Mr. Compton. And I remember using the typewriter. So that's bringing back quite a bit of fond memories. So going from the typewriter age to now, Grandma Wells, I know you do quite a bit on the laptop and the computer now as well. Tell us some of the things you do on your computer, on your laptop.
Well, one of the things that I consider important is I learned to make Hallmark greeting cards, because I send cards to 4 different organizations of the church. And back in the day, I was able to keep up with my children, my grandchildren, my nieces and nephews, and now that purchases had gone up and the kids have grown up, and I can't keep up with all the birthdays anymore. But my sister Evelyn kept up with them.
Well, you still keep up. Well, I think the only reason we keep up with them because Facebook has a tendency to be able to remind us about birthdays. But you remember birthdays, Grandma Wells, that I don't even remember. So I'm very impressed with that. So what else do you do on your laptop that you weren't able to do on your printer, or I'm calling it a printer, but on your typewriter back then?
Oh, I was typing business letters, and once upon a time I could do some financial, do my finances, paying bills and whatnot, but some of that is lacking now. But I still do Facebook and a few other things, keeping in contact with relatives out of town, and some of my other nieces and nephews and friends from church that contact me, let me know what's going on, because we still have a lot of sickness and a lot that we need to let people know that we care.
And what about as far as being able to, you haven't been able to go to Wayland to see your church services in person, but you've been able to stay connected with your church services. How have you been able to stay connected that way?
Well, we have persons who send us updates on what's going on, keep us posted, and the different organizations that I send to, that I belong to, they send information so that we can have our meetings, the conference calls, and that also includes the church services, the Sunday school services, and the other meetings that we are involved in.
So you're able to do all that on your laptop now?
Yes, I can.
Wow.
To a certain extent.
Did you ever, in your wildest imagination, Grandma Wells, ever think that something like that little typewriter that you were pecking at 50, 60 years ago, would now be a total where you're able to watch movies, be able to, like you said, see you've seen David in Ohio through your laptop. You would not have been able to do that through your typewriter. Would you have, in your wildest dreams, ever imagine that you would see the type of technology that we see today?
No, that is quite a surprise to me, and I'm just appreciate being able to do what little bit I do, share the little bit of knowledge that I do have to keep up with my grandchildren, the great grands. I see them, but they're not communicating yet.
Well, Grandma Wells, this is very exciting. And some of our younger viewers, as they take a look, they'll probably look at that and say, "What's that?" A typewriter. What is a typewriter? I was excited when we were able to plug in typewriters, and now it's being able to. What we're basically even recording this show on is a miniature computer. What we used to call as our cell phones is really we do more other things on our phone than talk with it. So but to be able to see this actually bit of history is what we're looking at. And I see on there the brand name was Royal, the Royal typewriter.
Yeah, I'm telling you, because my brother had one of the first typewriters he found at the antique store, and it was interesting. I couldn't use that because it was a little more ancient than this.
Well, thank you so much, Grandma Wells, for sharing this bit of not just your history, but history in technology. And so we look forward to picking back up next week with Grandma Wells and Grandma's Corner and a wealthy place where we'll continue to share more history such as this. And we'll see you next time. You have a beautiful and blessed day. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.